All right, perfecting your cover letter. So I guess the first question is, why write a cover letter? And I always tell students, if you're applying for a job, especially a specific job, always send a cover letter. I think when you send a cover letter, first of all, if the job you're applying for is not requiring a cover letter, I think if you send a cover letter, you're automatically, and the cover letter is a good cover letter, you're automatically going to be in the top 50% of all of the job candidates for that job. Because when you send a cover letter, you're telling the employer, hey, I'm a serious candidate. I'm really excited about this job and I'm taking this seriously. And employers, that's the kind of person they want to hire. So I would always encourage you to send a cover letter whenever you're applying. Time that you wouldn't need a cover letter is if you're meeting somebody or at a job fair, let's say, and you're talking to them in person. You wouldn't hand them a cover letter then, but if you're applying online or through email or the regular mail or whatever, you need a cover letter. Also, cover letters are a great way to demonstrate just thoughtfulness and your interest, and you can also personalize your cover letter to that particular employer. It's a great way to highlight relevant skills. You can provide examples of your skills in your cover letter. And employers love examples. Examples are king, and they tend to believe you more when you have examples to back up your skills. Also, cover letters are a super way to show your personality. Your personality can shine through in a cover letter. And also, if you write a really good cover letter, it just shows that you have good writing skills. So as you think about preparing to write your cover letter, obviously you want to research the organization. You want to go to their website and read over their website, know what's happening with that organization, and be up to speed on all of that. If there's a written job description, analyze that closely. And what I tell students to do is I would take a highlighter, and I'm old school, so I would probably print out the job description. I would take a highlighter and I would read through that job description, and everything that I see, every skill, qualification that I think, ooh, I know that, or I know a little bit about that, or I'm familiar with that, I'm going to highlight all of those things. And the things that I highlighted on the job description, those are ideas of things that I can put in my cover letter or things that I can highlight and mention in my cover letter. As you're preparing to write your cover letter, think about your background in terms of maybe jobs that you've had, courses that you've taken, internships, volunteer experience that you've done. Those may be great things to mention to demonstrate skills that this employer is going to be interested in. And also, when you're writing your cover letter, focus on how you can help the employer, not what you want to gain from the experience. Sometimes I see cover letters and they'll say things like, I'm so excited to gain these marketing skills by working at your company. And employers, they want to know how you're going to help them and what problem you're going to solve for them. A lot of times when I talk to employers, they want to talk to people that tell them, here's how I can help you. Here's the problem that I can solve for your organization. So focus on how you can help the employer, not what you want to gain from the experience. So the first part of your cover letter, the heading or the greeting, what I would do, the heading that you have on your resume that has your name and your address and your telephone and email address, I would take that heading, I would copy it, and I would just paste it onto a new Word document and use that same header for both the resume and your cover letter. I think that's going to kind of brand those two pages. It shows that those two pages kind of go together, they're consistent. So I like that technique of kind of using the same header for both resume and cover letter. So I would do that at the top of my cover letter. Also, you need the date of when you're sending your cover letter, and then you need an inside address. And an inside address is simply the name of the person you're writing to, their job title, company name, address, city, state, zip, all of that is the inside address. And if at all possible, I would address my cover letter to a specific person. Sometimes, you look online and, you don't see a specific person to send your application to. But I would take some steps to do everything you can to find a specific person to address this cover letter to, because that is the best way to do it. Sometimes I coach students, I would just call the company and just whoever answers the phone, a receptionist, a secretary, I would just ask them, I would just say, hey, I'm going to apply for the marketing internship with your company and I'm writing my cover letter. Who do I need to address that to? And sometimes if you just call and ask, people will tell you. And they'll say, oh, that's Miss Smith. You need to send it to Jane Smith or whoever. So do your best effort to try to get a name to address to on your cover letter, because a specific person is better than dear hiring manager. If you're unsure about the person's gender, let's say that you see a name and you're not sure whether that's a man or a woman, use the full name, like Dear Pat Smith, if you're unsure about that. And if you've gone through all of your steps of trying to find a specific person to send it to and you just can't, maybe you call them and they say, we don't give out that information, you just need to send it in. If you can't find them, then you could just use something like Dear Hiring Manager. So that's what the header or the top of your cover letter should look like. Okay, let's move on to the introduction paragraph. So the first paragraph in your cover letter, you're going to say, Dear Jane Smith or Dear Miss Smith. And then what you want to do in this first paragraph is, one, you want to tell them exactly what position that you're interested in. I mean, that company, they may be trying to fill 10 different positions. So you want to make it easy for whoever's reading the letter so that they know, okay, she's interested in our marketing internship position. You could talk about how you learned about their company. Maybe if there's a mutual contact, you can mention that person. And you want to tell in this cover letter why you're interested in them. Why is their company or their organization of such interest to you? You also want to address, why are you the best person for this position? And you want to show excitement or enthusiasm. So let's look at a couple of examples here that I think may help. So both of these examples I think are pretty good. I'm going to read through both of these and then make some comments on these. But let's look at this one on the left first. It says, my family went to a number of Texas Rangers games when I was growing up. Cheering for the team was a big part of our family tradition. When I saw this marketing internship position with the Rangers on Handshake, I was so excited. This position is a fantastic opportunity for me to apply my social media, communication, and leadership skills to help an organization that has played such a major part in my family memories. That's a pretty good opening paragraph. Notice a couple of things about this. That first sentence is pretty compelling, right? My family went to a number of Texas Rangers games when I was growing up. I mean, that's a compelling first sentence. Also notice that they identify the position that they're interested in. They talk about the marketing internship, and they talk about skills that they can apply. Their social media, communication, leadership skills. So they cover those things in their introduction paragraph. So I think that's a really compelling or interesting first paragraph. The one on the right-hand side of the screen, it's good as well too. And let me read through this real quickly. I admire the work that the Panhandle Plains Historical Museum has done to engage both children and schools. So I'm excited to apply for the educational associate position. Dr. Charles Goodnight thought the position would be a great fit for me. With my background in education and experience as an after-school program lead, I'm confident I can develop effective interactive educational programs. So that one, I think the first sentence is pretty compelling as well too. I like this one. They mention Dr. Charles Goodnight. They mention a common connection. And if you get an email or a text or a letter and there's a name in there of a person that I mean, you're probably going to read that. I mean, that common connection, that makes people want to read what you have to say. They mention the specific position in here, educational associate. They talk about their experience as an after-school program lead. So both of these introduction paragraphs, I think, are good examples of a compelling first sentence, identifying the specific position and talking about some skills that you have that could benefit the company. All right, you have your introduction paragraph, and then you're going to have a middle paragraph or your body paragraph, and it may be 1 or 2 paragraphs. But what you're doing in this middle section of the letter is you're just continuing to build the connection between what the company needs and your background and skills. So you want to stress what you have to offer, and you also want to talk about parts of your background that are going to be of interest to this particular employer. Think about special projects you've done, jobs, maybe campus activities, and don't just tell people what you have to offer. Use examples to show them what you've done or demonstrate skills that you've had or that you've developed. So one good way to do this, a method that you can use, is what's called the CAR method. And CAR, it's an acronym, and it stands for setting up the context, talking about the action that you took, and then talking about the results that happen from those actions. So, so let me give you an example of using the CAR method in a body paragraph. So here's a body paragraph, and the student says, as an intern at ABC Youth Center for the past 2 years, I've developed strong research and analytical skills. See, they're setting the context. They're talking about, I was an intern at the ABC Youth Center, and they're introducing some skills that they think this employer is going to be interested in. The research and analytical skills. They've done their research on this particular employer, and they know that those skills are important to them. So the second part of this is, in this role, I analyze progress, attendance, and survey data using Excel to determine how youth are positively impacted by our programs. I then develop a monthly report for the Director of Development. So they're just describing what they do, their action, and they're just showcasing their skills. I'm good at using Excel, the Excel program. I can develop reports. I can handle data. So they're describing action and showcasing their skills. And then this last part is where they're quantifying their results. In the past 18 months, the organization has used the data in 10 grant proposals. So whenever you can quantify, that's always better if you can quantify things. Employers tend to believe things that are quantified versus things that are not. So in this middle part of your letter, try to use the CAR example as much as you can. All right, so you have the introduction paragraph, the middle, the body paragraph or paragraphs maybe, and then you're going to end with the closing paragraph. And the closing paragraph, this is where you convince the employer that you're a good fit for the company. You show your enthusiasm and motivation. And also in this last paragraph, you want to state, hey, I'm going to contact you in a week to follow up to ensure that you've received all the information. And then a really nice touch in this closing paragraph is just to show some kindness to this employer. I mean, if you think about it, especially if you're applying for a job at a large corporation, the person reading your paragraph, or reading your cover letter, they've probably got, a ton of resumes to review and cover letters to read. I mean, there's a lot for them to do. And it would be nice to recognize that and just say, I know that you're working hard and you're doing a lot and reviewing all of these resumes. Appreciate your efforts. Something like that, just a touch of kindness. People tend to really like that a lot. So here's an example of a good last paragraph. So this first part, they're again showing that they're a good fit. They say something like, through my involvement as a peer advisor in school and my human resources internship, I realize I love connecting people to opportunities. So they're just emphasizing this job is a good fit for me. I think I would be good at this job. The next part, they're just highlighting their enthusiasm. I'm excited to contribute my passion and experience to BSA Health System's outstanding recruiting program. So they're just showing excitement. And employers, they want to hire people that are excited about the job. People love enthusiasm, and you don't have to be somebody that you're not, but I mean, people want to hire positive, enthusiastic people. The next part of this last paragraph is this is where they're asking, asking for the interview and saying that they're going to follow up. I would appreciate the opportunity to discuss my qualifications and ideas to recruit great talent for BSA to achieve your mission of providing quality healthcare and Christian love. I will contact you in a week to make sure you've received my information. And you know, that follow-up piece, that's such an important piece, and that's just so professional and classy. I would really encourage you to do that in a week time frame. That's probably the perfect, you know, time frame to follow up with an employer. And what you can do is you can call or you can email, and you can just say, hey, I sent my resume and cover letter to you last week. I just want to make sure that you got it. Are there questions? Is there anything else that I can provide for you? I am so excited about this position. That is super professional, and I would encourage you to do that. So employers, by and large, love that, and they really like people that follow up like that. That just shows you're serious and that you really want the position. And then the last part of this last paragraph is just this is a good example of just being kind and just showing kindness to somebody. I know you receive a lot of applications and it takes a lot of time to review them all. Thank you for taking the time to review and consider my material. So I think if you have these components in your last paragraph, it's going to be effective for you. Okay, real quickly, just some final tips. And we mentioned this earlier, but customize your cover letter to every employer. You know, you shouldn't have a generic cover letter that you're sending to every employer. I mean, there may be parts of it that are similar, but you need to customize each cover letter to the particular employer that you're sending it to. Employers, they know when you do this and they appreciate it, and it just shows that you're really excited about their position. Keep it to one page if you're printing it, so it doesn't need to go longer than one page. Use a consistent font style. Make it, you know, and I would use the similar font that you use with your resume. Make it consistent, kind of develop your brand here. Like we mentioned earlier, focus on what you can do for them. What problem can you solve for them? You know, I can, you know, help your marketing efforts. I can help you recruit great people. I can, you know, make your website awesome, or whatever it might be. Focus on what you can do for them. If you're attaching your cover letter, like in an applicant tracking system, and you're attaching it, when you name your cover letter, name it the full name, like Jane Smith cover letter, and also save it as a PDF if you're to preserve the formatting. If you're sending it via email, what I would do is in the email message box, that's where I would put my cover letter, and then I would attach my resume as a PDF. Because on an email, you don't want to have them open multiple documents. So I would put my cover letter in the message box of the email, and I would attach my resume as a PDF. And then lastly, proofread, proofread, proofread. I mean, if you send a cover letter and there's a typo or there's a grammar error or a formatting error, you know, chances are it's going into the trash can. I mean, you want to make sure that you got everything right. And when I write stuff, I mean, when I write my first draft, there's always mistakes. And the way that I can get mistakes out of my writing is I have to show it to other people and get their feedback. And then they give me feedback, I make changes, then I show it to somebody else. And I have to go through that loop probably 2 or 3 times. And I think that's true with most people. That's what I would encourage you to do. Get your family, friends to read it. You can, this last bullet point on this PowerPoint is you can schedule a resume or cover letter review with the staff here in Career Services. We'll read over your stuff, give you feedback as well too, but don't send it without it being proofread, because even the best writers among us, you know, we need proofreading. So anyway, I hope these tips are helpful as you're putting together your cover letter. Here is all of our contact information. You can call us, email us. We're on social media and all of these platforms, and we can connect with you. So I hope this helps you as you're writing your cover letter, and I wish you success on your job search.